This right here gonna be a cakewalk.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today, once again, we're talking about Tekken 8 and we'll talk about the players' reactions to it. I have some tweets from Nee, Arslan, FDX, and a couple of other players. I also want to show you guys some of the stats for the day 1 of Season 3 and how it compares to Season 2. I also want to talk a little bit about ranks and just kind of everything, right? First off, we'll start with this. I don't think this update is bad. What makes it bad is the optics. Season 2 was one of the worst updates in Tekken history, arguably fighting game history. And the developers promised to fix it all right after tournaments ended. 8 months, 9 months later, and they release a update that's not bad, but the update doesn't do much. Most of the installs, new moves, heat activations, and characters we complain about went largely untouched. And it makes you wonder, what did they spend all their time doing? Some people are wondering, are they lazy? Do they not care? Or are they short-staffed? I am planning to make a future video talking about the short-staffed problem because I think there could be something there. Subscribe and stay tuned, but for now, let's move on. To put it into perspective of how many buffs and nerfs was dished out across Season 2, Kane and Trench, this is during Season 2, he went back and counted. You can see Lydia received 23 buffs. She became a monster. Lars, Eddie, Raven. On the low ends of this, you have characters like Yoshimitsu, Shahid. Even though Law and Harong only received 3-4 buffs over the course of Season 2, even if a character hasn't received a lot of buffs, that still doesn't mean they haven't received a lot. But this just kind of shows you, clear as day, the developers' direction for this game. Buff, 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 and rarely do they ever nerf. And when you just think about the fallout of that Season 2 situation and what Season 3 was supposed to be, a lot of people were let down. Like, for example, this is the tweet that Nikatsu made. This was his apology tweet for Season 2. This was his response to Season 2. To all the fans around the world, thank you, as always, for your continued support. I would like to offer my heartfelt apologies as game director for the fact that the recently released Season 2 did not meet your expectations and caused inconvenience due to critical issues. We take the feedback and comments very seriously. The entire team is working together with full commitment to resolve these problems and deliver a better gameplay experience. We will continue to make steady, meaningful improvements one by one and do our utmost to regain your trust. 9 months later, and a very small update was released, and it addressed some characters. The movement feels really good, and I can't even say the movement. Pro players get mad when you say movement's buffed, even though I do feel like the backdash is probably bigger or recovers faster. Something's up with the backdash. It wasn't listed in the patch notes, so I don't know exactly what they did, but people feel a difference. And then also combined with whether or not they made the moves have less range, or they reduced the size of the hitboxes, because, you know, Harada described the hitboxes as being large, so maybe they're no longer large. Something that they did with the hitboxes, the range of attacks, and backdashing and sidestepping makes it feel much better, and that's by far the biggest standout of the update, and that definitely deserves praise. No one really wants the game to fail. Some people may celebrate the game's downfall because the game has done them so dirty, but no one truly wants Tekken to die. I think this tweet here from FDX kind of summarizes it perfectly. The game state aside, I'm pretty bummed that the discourse is going to continue to be miserable for a while. I like analyzing, teaching, and sharing cool Tekken moments. In this circumstance, it's pretty hard to do that. The developer's obsession with making the game easy and ignoring everything else is coming at a cost. I mean, this video here summarizes it perfectly. You have a pro player putting their copy of Tekken 8 in the toilet and peeing on it. It's wild work across the timeline. This results in the Steam reviews currently being mixed, 23 positive reviews and 222 negative reviews. This is recent. When you look at it overall, it's not really too negative. It's not necessarily a review bomb. If this does persist for a couple of days, maybe it will turn into that, but right now this is just negative feedback. One thing that I did want to highlight is that the daily active players, it was decent. 10,000 people played this game at the peak. When you take into consideration just Steam, that number drops to about 9,500. But what's really crazy about this is at the same time Street Fighter released their update, and that update is kind of controversial as well, but their update brought back 70,000 players. Wild numbers it is. Wild. One interesting fact from Season 2 and this is about ranked, is that at the end of it, when a lot of people were coming back to, prepare for season 3, play the game, people were climbing to the ranks to try to get the highest they possibly could. Well, that resulted in God of Destruction having 2.9% of players, which was more than the rank prior, which is Supreme, at 2.39%. And then both of those ranks have more players in it than some of the beginner ranks where players are supposed to be like hanging out at, learning the game, getting experience. But this game doesn't really want you to do that. This game want to push players all the way to the top, and it's coming at a cost because what they did in season 3, we thought they were going to fix inflation and fix all of the free privilege all the way up to blue ranks, but it's even worse now. We can't see the full ramifications of this, but the pro players and a lot of other players are already talking about it, how easy rank is. They were demoted at the start of season 3, and a lot of people are already achieving their ranks once again. So if this is what's happening on the first day where people already have the ranks that they lost, what is it going to look like 5 months from now? I don't know why the developers make the game so easy like this, because we can see the data and it looks so terrible, so ugly. Maybe the casual audience don't pay attention to none of this and they're not aware of all of the backlash that's been happening on Twitter results in this post here, which says Tekken 8 Season 3 patch draws sharp backlash from fighters. While some appreciate stronger defensive options, I kind of talked about that, right? Many fans and pros slam changes as buffing weaker characters and making the game too easy, feeling cause for dev changes after a trailer that didn't fully deliver on less chaos. I know the developers promised to do more updates. I wish they would tell us when those updates are actually happening so we could put a little bit more faith into that, because the last time they told us more work will be done, we had to wait 9 months for the next season and it did nothing. So at this point, I think it makes sense for the players to ask for more and to say, you need to tell us where the updates are at. Is it Kunimitsu? Is it Bob? Is it Roger? Is it season 4? We are over halfway through the lifespan of this game and we're still waiting for the fun to get here. And it's like, when can the game just be fun and when can the players just enjoy it? And that's the real reason players are upset, because like I said, the update isn't horrible. It's just players are tired of waiting for the game to be good, for the game to be playable, for the game to reward skill. Nee says on Twitter, Kazuya knew 112 damage adjusted when the attack hits from the side or the back. Apart from this, those who expected a return to basics will feel seriously let down. Honestly, I didn't think the design could get any worse. It will be hard to attract both new and existing players. Arslan says, after spending some time with season 3 of Tekken, I'll be honest, I expected a bit more. Right now it feels very similar to season 2, and some of the new moves feels recycled. They are recycled. And something else that I would also highlight that no one's really talking about is the battle pass and cosmetics are completely recycled. Raven's hair being copied and paste, boots being copied and paste, shirts, t-shirts, all of it is reused. Once again, brings up the conversation of whether or not they are struggling under some kind of like staffing issue, budgeting issue, Bandai Namco pressure. What's going on over there for them to reuse so many old assets? Arslan continues to says, I was hoping to see bigger system changes, especially around things like heat, rather than just character nerfs. Lars getting nerfed again is crazy. This character isn't even doing anything and is still catching nerfs every patch. Someone at Bandai Namco must really hate Lars. I think that pro players like Arslan should pay attention to the win rates, because it would give these guys a lot of understanding as to why the developers are making certain decisions. Pro players act like statistics, win rates don't matter at all, and the only thing that matters is what happened at pro play. So when they see a lot of these change, they get completely blindsided by it. But if you pay attention to the win rates, you can see that Lars was just decimating everyone and he was just getting the freest of wins. FDX says Tekken 8 3.0 is not a small step in the right direction, but many steps in a vastly different directions. Some characters were nerfed in solid ways that make a lot of sense. Other characters got slapped on the wrist or were only buffed, Weaknesses were intentionally removed. This contradicts the statement of focusing on strengths, weakness, and identity. The only consistent thing was focused on was making things easier. Unique tech conversions were removed, offense was streamlined, and a lot of execution checks were completely removed. According to this patch, situational awareness is not something that should be heavily rewarded, and cool things keep getting removed or simplified. Generally, the vibes seem down, and I'm personally pretty confused by the direction of the game. How similar does this conversation sound from Season 2? It makes sense why people are quitting. Bilal says, once a liar, always a liar. Eris says, how's everyone enjoying the patch? He's seen it all those years ago when we were still playing Tekken 7. I won't read all of these tweets, but you have one here from Misplaced Stuff. You guys can pause and read that. You have this one here from Book where he's talking about playing Street Fighter 6 instead. And honestly, it makes sense. They have more money, more fame, more glory, more everything. Once again, this update in a vacuum could be considered good. But if you just think about how many steps back Tekken 8 has went and how this update was supposed to be major steps in the right direction, it just wasn't that.